Okay. Friends, it's indeed a great honor and a blessing from God that we, on this day, as we remember the life of Father Stan, as we pay tribute to his sacrificial life, God, in his grace and mercy, has provided a very good friend of Father Stan, Father Xavier, Father Joseph Xavier. And we are so glad that the Lord has provided him to us. Truly, it is a matter of his leading, it is a matter of his grace and mercy that we could connect with him, and he so graciously and kindly agreed. So before I call upon Father Joe to share about the life, his values, his legacy of Father Stan, I will just say a few words, as his introduction, for his introduction. Father Joseph Xavier, SJ, is a Jesuit priest. Currently, he is the director of the Indian Social Institute, Bangalore. He has his PhD in human rights and criminology. He had served as the executive director of Indian Social Institute, New Delhi, and as international deputy director of the Jesuit Refugee Service, Rome. From 2001, he has been a close associate of Father Stan Swamy. In 2019, Father Stan spent 6 months at Indian Social Institute, Bangalore, and Father Joe took care of him. During these days, Father Stan uh, compiled his writings, which was later published as a memoir. I am not called titled "I am not a silent spectator" by Father Joe. While Father Stan was arrested and imprisoned in Taloja prison, Father Joe was the contact person at that moment. In those times, Father Joe represented the Jesuit conferers in the national and global advocacy campaigns. He participated in the final funeral Eucharist on 5th July 2021 at St. Peter's Church, Bandra, Mumbai. So once again, I want to thank God and truly consider it a great honor here on NMDF Coffee Chats to have Father Joseph Xavier to share memories and life lessons that we can draw from the sacrificial life of Father Stan. So over to Father Joe. Welcome, Father Joe. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you, all of you, for this opportunity. I consider this as a moment of grace, moment of privilege, because we gather as believers in the life of Jesus. I think now, looking back after 1 year, I feel Stan belongs to all believers.
Yes.
Stan belongs to the human rights defenders. Stan belongs to who are all working for and with the poor, and whoever lives for others. This is how I would understand his life and mission. Let me start from my last conversation with Stan, because I continue to cherish those last words which I had an opportunity to speak with him. That was on 28th of June last year. You know, afterwards, his condition literally was collapsing, health condition. And I knew, because we had some intimate relationships, very close bonding, though age-wise, about 24, 25 years, he is senior. From 2001, we built up such an intimate relationship. If he wants to say something very deep in his heart, he would call me, Joe, this is what it is. So I never expected such a call. He was in the hospital bed, lying. He could not get up on his own. Mobile was given to him by Father Fraser. So he wanted to talk to me. And he said these things. Joe, I want to tell you this. I am like a child now, which means for every assistance, I can't do anything on my own. Whether eating, going to toilet, getting up, I need assistance. I'm like a child. But I want to tell you something. He said, take forward the struggles of the Adivasis for a dignified life. Take forward the struggles of the Adivasis for a dignified life. The second part. And the third part, he said, I belong to the universal society. Tell the provincials whatever they decide after my death, it is fine with me. I just could not control myself. I've seen many people dying in life. Even my own professors who taught me death, resurrection, life after death, what we call eschatology. At the moment of death, everybody was struggling to die. Many did not want to die. That was the reality I have seen. But here I see a person, he knew fully well that he's not going to be alive for a long time. Almost like a parting word, he was speaking to me. This is my gift to you. I am like a child. I need assistance for everything. But take forward the struggles of the Adivasis for a dignified life. I belong to the universal society. And tell the provincials, whatever they decide, as a Jesuit, I accept it. Such a profound words. And I continue to reflect and cherish those moments. How do we understand these words? He knew very well that he is living a limited life, a particular point of time in history. He knew 2000 years ago, Jesus came into this world to redeem this world. He cherished those moments, those historical Jesus and his life and his mission and his values. Very deeply he cherished. But he knew everything will not come to an end. The world will not come to an end with his death. There's a long way to go. And we belong to this faith history, which began years ago, which will continue after our death. And we must pass on this legacy. All that he could do was his bit during his lifetime. But he always had an eye in the future that God will lead us to a dignified life, especially of the poor. Everyone will be God's own children, cherishing that we are all created in the image and likeness of God. Till that moment, our life has to go on. Let us play our part, leave a legacy for the next generation so that they will take it forward. That was very, very strong. We believe in history. We believe in the historical Jesus. His invitation was also that this historical God invites us to believe in the future, that this world with all its challenges can be redeemed, can be made more human. That is what our faith is. It is that which gives us meaning to our life, to our mission, to our works. If we don't believe in that future, we can't do much. And what we do is something meaningless. There's a vacuum. If we believe in the depth of our heart, what's going to be the future? A beautiful future that God has created for all of us, then what we are doing is to labor along with God amidst the poor, that we transform this world, we change this world, we bring quality of life to the poor. This is what his mission was. All this he started, I go back to his history. One of the richest experiences he shared was this. This was during his regency time. You have to understand, Stan comes from South India, from Tamil Nadu, trained, schooling in a very, very agriculture family. Then he had his novitiate there, but he opted to work in Jamshedpur. That is where he wanted to go. And this is what we call regency as he moves on. As a young brother, he was put in a school, which is called, the place is called Chaibasa Lupungutu. Predominantly, the Jesuits built that school for the tribes over there, for everybody, but the majority of the people are the tribes. He was placed there. He goes as a very, very young youth, goes to that place. He was fascinated by the tribal boys and girls who are coming there to study. He wants to go around to the villages. And I'm talking about the 70s. There were no access roads. And to these tribal villages are in the forest. Just next to that school only the forest will begin. Okay, just 1 kilometer afterwards. It's valleys and rivers and all that. So you don't know when you will go, how you will cross, how you will come back. That's the scenario. You have to carry your cycle to cross the little rivers and all that. So he goes. He goes and stays. This is the family, one of the students' place. He wants to have an interaction. He was learning the whole language from them. He goes to that Adivasi house and sits in the courtyard, in the entrance part. Obviously, when a Jesuit priest goes, the poor Adivasi people, they really revere them and they want to offer what all they have, to the priest. That's a way of expressing their gratitude. And the father of that family tells his son, small son who was studying probably 6th or 7th, you climb up the mango tree and collect the mangoes. It's a mango season. Collect the mangoes. Let's give it to father. Let him take it to the father's house. This was the idea. As the boy climbed up and he was collecting the mangoes, the father told him, boy, do not collect anything, do not pluck anything on that particular branch. Stan, going from south, with South Indian type of a lifestyle, value system, he was wondering, he sees that branch, there are nice fruits, and he says, normally to the guest, the nice fruits are given. Why this father is saying not to pluck? He couldn't understand what he was saying. He was a little puzzled. Then he didn't want to ask them also, he was hesitating whether to ask or not to ask. Finally, he takes the courage and asks the father of that boy, sir, why do you say we should not pluck? They are beautiful. I can have those fruits also. And the father says, those are for the birds of the air. Those fruits are for the birds of the air. We human beings cannot pluck everything and eat. We should also take care of them. Then only they will take care of us. His entire value system was shattered. All with South Indian, from South he is going as a consumer, is eating the best. Here there is a man who says, even those best ones are to be given to the birds of the air. They must also survive. We should not pluck everything. And he goes around and sees there are everywhere. The houses are thatched, no doors, everything is kept open. All animals, dogs, cats, everything is part of their life. They sing, dance. When there is a marriage celebration, one family, the whole village sings and dances. When there is a death, the whole village mourns. And it's a beautiful community which reminded him of the Acts of the Apostles, how those first disciples lived, kept everything in common and sharing with the nature. And the father also told, it's because of the nature we are surviving, not because of the state, not because of other things. Because for whatever we need, we go to the nature. We need to respect, we need to nurture. And because they nurture us, we need to nurture them. This he got the shock of his life. This value system of caring and sharing, even taking care of the animals and the nature, is something very different, he sees. On the contrary, he goes back to his school where there is a weekly market. In the weekly market, the Adivasi women, particularly men and women, whatever they grow, like chicken and all that, they bring to the market to sell so that they can buy other food items and take home. This is a tradition those days. It's a sort of selling and buying something. And Stan was observing what was happening when the Adivasi women were coming. Usually the Adivasi women keep the chicken inside and covered because they'll be always on the roadside. Some people trying to cheat and invariably he saw them. Some dalals will come, move the saree, chicken, throw some money, take you Adivasi, go away. He has seen with his own eyes things like that happening. And he said, what a value system I see in their hamlets, in their village. But when they come and interact with the external world, how badly they are treated. He said, this cannot go on. I must commit myself to journey with for the well-being of these Adivasis who are being sort of suppressed, who are being discriminated by the outside world. That's where his commitment starts. And that's, he said, this is God's mission. God has called me to this land basically to live for them. That's how he develops a lot of passion and love for the Adivasis. That he grew up, so I will not go into that part of it. Each moment of life. And later part of his life, he said, when he founded Bagaicha, that's mainly to protect the Adivasis, their rights over the Jal, jungle, and Jameen, the water, forest, and land, because that is their asset. If there is no water, if there's no land, if there's no forest, they cannot live their lives because they have not seen the development. That was their resource. And the Constitution provides protection for all these things. While you have a written constitution which protects all these rights of the Adivasis, but in de facto, while implementing, all these people have been depriving of the Adivasis, displacing them, taking away their lands, taking their water sources, everything snatching away, displacing millions of Adivasis. This is where he was feeling so infuriated. You can't have one in the constitution, but you yourself are violating the constitution. We must protect the Gram Sabhas. We must protect what is given as due rights in the constitution, that the development of the Adivasis, their life must be in their hands. These are all constitutional provisions. These questions you are raising, which became an uncomfortable thing for the state, for the corporate companies. He said, nothing doing. You are violating. You are supposed to be protecting the constitution. You are violating. I will raise my voice against these things. All that he did, he was not leading anything because he was also growing old. All that he said, he will go and sit quietly with the people. I will share with you what I have. The decision is yours. You decide what course of action you want. You want to protect? Do you want to give it away? It is in your hands. All that is in the writing part of it, in the newspaper, in the journals, and also moving with the people. He felt one like that. So he sacrificed completely his life for the well-being of the Adivasis because he saw with his own eyes as a youth the contradictory value systems. There also in Bagaicha, every day morning, his prayer is this. Collect some flowers, and he has erected a stone in Bagaicha, a stone in which the Adivasi martyrs' names are written. He will come and stand before that with the folded hands with the flowers. It will be shaking because of the Parkinson's, and a few flowers will fall. But 15 minutes in deep silence and a meditative mode, he will stand before. At the end, he will offer the flowers. I used to ask him, what are you doing, Stan? I am infusing my spirit with the spirit of the Adivasis. This is the culture of Adivasis. We believe our forefathers live even today, and their martyrdom will not go in vain. It is these people who have given life to their generations. So I am trying to infuse spirit. This is my prayer every day. This is how we was living. And I come back to this part, the prison. I had the opportunity because, as I told you, I was very close to him. He was arrested on 8th October in 2020. On 30th September, just before his arrest, we knew, because every day we used to have a Zoom call or whatever, virtual meeting. When the NA was inquiring, all that we used to hear. On 30th, we received a call. One of the colleagues just received a call, and we literally felt it's not too long a time that the government is going to come on him. He's going to be arrested. So he himself said, why don't you come? I said, okay, I'll come. So that night itself, I booked my ticket.
Please kindly bear. I think there is a disconnection, net issue. Father Joe is connecting from Patna. So please kindly bear for a moment. I think he should be back with us. Yes. Father Joe, you got disconnected. You were saying that night. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I was called and I went and I stayed with him. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Carry on.
Yes. So I was there with 3 days with him. At the end of the 3rd day, I'm not going to the details. As I embraced him to leave that place, to return to Bangalore, I saw his body sort of illuminated. I could feel within myself. And I was telling myself, maybe this is the last time I'm meeting him. That was my experience. I didn't tell him anything, but when I came to Bangalore at midnight, because from Ranchi, I went to Kolkata, and Kolkata to Bangalore, I reached around 3:34 Bangalore. The next day morning, I told my community this, because everybody knew what I was doing. This is what my experience. Probably this was my last time, and that there is some connection issue. I'll just okay. I think now it's all right. Okay,
Yes, yes,
so
yes.
that's
Go
how
ahead.
I met him. Okay, and as you know, on 8th he was arrested. Immediately after the arrest, because I was called, they have come, and I knew what was happening anyway. I will not go into that. What I want to highlight is from the next day, when he was taken to Mumbai and put behind bars, everybody was asking about his health. But I tell you, never he complained about his health. Though I knew he was going through pain, suffering, he was that type of a person. He will take all the pains on him, but he will never make a complaint. He would always say, my brothers and sisters are much more. I am gifted as a Jesuit. I have rather good life. I have nothing to complain. First. And he's always about others. That is what made him a different person in the prison. And when whomever he met, he will put his hand on his chest and say, hello, good evening, namaskar, good morning to the young or old. Everybody in prison were captured by, he's a different type of a person. He should not be in the prison. This was their claim. And there also once because I was the main contact person, I can't call him, he can call me, or he can write letters to me, because only when letters are addressed to me, it will come. If I send something, books and all that, only from my address it goes. I was the contact person. Like once, because at least once in 10 days, 15 days, he will make a call to me just to say how we are. It's a 4 minutes call, but by 3.5 minutes, he will say, my time is over, Joe. Next time we'll see. This is how our communication was. Never crossed any limits, any conditions of the prison. Absolutely followed as a good citizen. Once he asked me, Joe, I need a 32-inch pants and another size of shirt. I knew it was not for him. He will not ask for me. And then I asked Stan, for whom it is? There is a young boy who nobody is coming to see that boy, and he has no clothes. I want to give to him. And for you, do you need anything? Do you remember when I was in Bangalore, I left one lungi with you? You sent that old lungi for me. That is enough for me. My goodness. I had to search. I kept that lungi. I searched for that lungi and sent it to Bombay to one of the priests. Then also asked somebody to buy these pants and shirt and go and preach in Taloja prison. This was Stan. One of the things which struck most is this, which I want to share with you. One of the books he loved and read, and he wanted it in the prison, was a book called Jesus and Historical Approximation. Jesus and Historical Approximation, written by a Spanish guy called Jose Pagoda, where he beautifully brings out how this historical Jesus lived his time during those moments against these powerful authorities, keeping the poor, foregrounding the lives of the poor for their liberation. This is his thesis. He was so impressed, he said, please send me that book. So I had got a book and sent it to him. And there in the prison cell, with him was Anand Teltumbe from Maharashtra, was a famous writer, he was at the Goa IIT. Then Arun Ferreira is a Catholic. He is the nephew of Bombay Bishop Alvin D'Souza. These three were there. Every time they will discuss about this. Arun Ferreira, I must also say, Arun Ferreira was a born Catholic, but he was a social activist, very committed young youth leader. He was part of the college youth movement and all that. But looking at how the church has moved away from the historical No, Jesus, he felt, I'm not worthy to be this. I'm leaving the church. He left the church. He left Christianity. I knew him much later. I never knew him before, later. He and his wife all left. He was angry with the church. But after all this discourse, one day he wrote to me, Father, share this book with my wife. His wife got a surprise. Father, he was not a believer. He left all that. Now he is asking me to read. I think Stan has converted him there in the prison. This is what he said. And he apparently has told him, I've never heard of all this description about Jesus. All that I've heard in the hierarchical church is power, authority, money, positions, all that. But this Jesus was never told to me. I believe in Jesus. I want to follow him. Not only that, Anand Teltube was not a Catholic, was a Hindu, came to know more about Jesus in prison. And with all that discussion, he deeply brought both of them very close to Jesus. That is what it is. And even looking at his health, Arun and Anand will buy some pista, some padam for a discussion. He would say, no pista, no padam, groundnut. This groundnut is the ordinary people's food. Buy groundnut, I will eat, we can discuss about these things. He was very, very particular about who is he, what is he called to be, how closely he can follow Jesus. This has been his life. And that is why from the prison, he was able to write very boldly and courageously. When everybody was looking, when I'm getting bail, there's no anxiety, there's no worry. This is given to me. I will live my life. I said, I have to pay the price. I'm paying the price because there are so many people paying the price. I'm one among them. So that was his way of life, his thinking. That is why he was able to even write those poems, which I published, as you know. Even a caged bird can sing. A caged bird can sing. How beautiful the words are. And he also wrote a poem, because I used to tell him he was a good poem writer. Stan, yes, you write letters, but also write some poems, which I can use it to communicate your thinking to the outside world. Once he wrote about the contradictions in life, and he also talked about the prison is a great leveler, because everybody, one of us are treated equally, no difference. Religion, caste, money, wealth, no difference. Everyone is equal. And the same food is given. And what is left over is not even wasted. The birds of the air come and eat it up completely. This is what the real communism, the community, social life has to be. In fact, if this life is lived outside, we will be all children of Mother Earth, God. This was his poem. So he was completely a value-oriented person. Not so much about the ritualism, not so much about the practices. The values he believed was strongly ethically rooted. It's a sense of compassion, it's a sense of solidarity, sense of common good. All this he picked up from the Adivasi lifestyle. And that is what he imbibed and lived. The same way, in 2000, though I knew him from 2001, in 2019, it is in connection with another case in Ranchi. I was about to take over as director in ISA Bangalore, 1st of July. By 26th, 27th, a friend of Jesuit called me. There is some issue. I think Stan, it's better he comes there. Please send him. Stan also, Joe is there, I'm going. Okay. So he came and stayed with me for 6 months. During those 6 months, when he was living, he had a Parkinson's. He will hold his plate. We have to take from the common food. He will shake and go to his table. My staff will go and help him. He'll say, no. As long as I can manage, I will manage. Taking, washing, everything he will do. Obviously, washing clothes and all. You won't believe, at that age, 81, 82, he himself will wash his clothes dry. I don't need anybody's help. I can manage. That was his life. And he will not disturb anybody. Whatever he can manage, he will manage. If he needs something, he will ask me, like I need a computer. That is the time he said, Joe, my call has to be restricted because I'm being monitored, but give me a computer. I want to type, whatever my thoughts are. That's the time he started writing the book. I'm not a silent spectator. So this is another part of it. During those 6 months, he used to go visit, I will book his ticket. He will tell me, no third AC, no AC class, sleeper class ticket. But I have to understand him, coax him. I tried the second class ticket, but it was not available. So you'll have to play with the old people like that. This was the only ticket available, so I booked it. Then he will agree. That's how I learned to convince him. Otherwise, he will not go. This is a problem. He will go to Kerala, he will go to Chennai, he will go to Madurai. When he comes back, some of his friends will put a lot of some cash, some gift, 2,000, 3,000 clothes. As soon as he comes, removes the cash, removes this, all this for you. You give it to people. That's it. He will not keep. I will keep what I can carry. If I can't carry, it belongs to others. That's it. That was his life. Small bag and small thing he will carry. That's all. So he left all his clothes, everything. Even when he was in Bangalore, his heart was boiling for the poor. Whenever there is a public demonstration on many of the public issues, he will tell my staff, take me to the streets. I want to be with them. I can't speak, but I'll be with them. That was his value. This is where I meet Christ. This is where I meet Jesus. Jesus who is struggling amidst the life of the poor. So he will go and he will come back and take sessions. Why people are fighting for this? Why people are demanding this? What is the issue? Why people have to, the state is doing like that. So all these things completely engrossed. This is how Jesus lived. He never stayed in one place. He walked along and he did good to everybody. I will also go and do good to everybody. Completely detached, completely open to anybody, completely living the life of the poor. This has been his life. This has been his lifestyle. Only thing he desired, which I could not fulfill, he wrote the book by 20 June, he sent me the copy of the book. I'm not a silent spectator. I said, okay, I will publish it because he wanted me to publish it. I said, by the time I was preparing to publish it, the NA inquiry started. Still, he wanted to publish. I said, Stan, wait. Because of my good relationship, he will follow what I say. This has been our very close relationship. Okay, finally, okay, Joe, what you say, I accept it. But no, this is not the time to publish. We'll publish later. It's okay. Then he agreed. Then he goes to the prison, Taloja. From there, he is asking, when are you publishing? Stan, I have told you I will publish. I want you to get out first of the bail, then we will do it. Okay, that didn't happen. He goes to the hospital, the deathbed. When are you publishing? Stan, you know I will publish it. Yes, I know I will publish it. You publish it year after years. Fortunately, it's all God's providence. I look at it after his death, what he wrote, some of the inquiry documents with the NARE, which I kept as a private document, then his letters to me, where he's writing a lot of things, details about the prison life and all that, I could put all of them together and make it as really his memoir to the world, which has so many people have bought it and they are reading and cherishing it. These are not big theological discourses, but his own value system, how he believed what God has called him to be, to live with the poor, his own experiences, he has compiled up. That's what we published. I must tell you, looking back, I believe, and I tell everyone plainly, God glorified him in his death. God glorified him in his death. Many people would not have come to know. But the way God led him through all these trials and temptations, and the way he accepted them from the time of arrest, the way he spoke, I am not a silent spectator, the way he lived in prison, the way he was taken to as an under trial, died in the hospital. It's amazing. It's amazing. I can only say God glorified him in his death. You have seen the funeral mass was watched by more than 40,000 people alive, and we don't know many others. And of all that, the following day, Justice Shinde, who was about to grant him bail, probably some of you may know the last days, I was in Bangalore. I knew the last 3 days I was getting a call from the hospital through Father Fraser. His health is deteriorating. My innocence was, I must go. On 4th Sunday night, I booked my ticket. And 5th morning, I'm boarding my flight in Bangalore. At 10:30, I'm sitting inside the flight. My lawyer, Mihir Desai, calls me, though that last year, 5th was a government holiday, some Maharashtra festival. There was not supposed to be a court hearing. But Sunday, we tweaked so much that his health is deteriorating. Justice Shinde convened a special session. It was very human for the sake of this. And he said, afternoon, there will be a hearing. So at 10:30, when I was sitting in the flight, Mihir tells me, Joe, there's a good news. Today, there's a special hearing. They are going to take up Stan's case. I hope he will be granted bail. This is what he says. Mihir, anyway, the flight is going to take off. Let me come to Bombay, then we'll discuss the rest. We'll see. So I land at 11:50. The calls were waiting. But Fraser tells me, Joe, again, he had an attack. The doctors have said maybe 3 to 4 hours. Anyway, Fraser, I have nothing to say. We surrender. This is what he wanted. We surrender him because it is not in our hands. Then, after a few minutes, I receive a call. He's no more. This is how he said. I said, we completely surrender. God has glorified him. Then, of course, you know the news in the courtroom. We released the news and all that has happened. What inspired me was then I had organized a condolence meeting. The next day was the funeral. It was such a glorious funeral that we had in Bombay. And the following day, in the High Court, Justice Shinde said, I don't watch TV usually, but something triggered me. I watched the funeral service of Stan Swamy. It was such a wonderful moment of prayer and how wonderfully he has lived his life. Everybody was really, praise of him and thanking God for the gift of life, all that. I was literally moved. This is what Justice Shinde said the following day in the court premises. I think Stan has lived his life fully, meaningfully. And he had an intuitive knowledge of what was going to happen. Though sometimes I would say, Stan, it may not happen. He knew what was going to happen. A person who is deeply rooted in God, deeply rooted in the people, I think God gives them the strength, courage, energy to go through all these pains and sufferings without making much complaints about it, but living a committed life till the end of his death. Only once during his lifetime, he got angry. When he was in prison, he got a bit annoyed with me. You will consider it, I don't know how you will take it. Once, all along, nothing else, only once. Joe, I want to ask you, how is that superstar issue become a big issue, which I can manage without that? How did it come? I myself was not aware of it because I had not given approval. It seems one of the others, they said, this news came through other prisoners and they filed a case. Please don't make an issue out of it. There are so many people looking at without food. What is that superstar? But outside world became a big issue. That is the only issue he was a bit annoyed. Because for me, nothing. I'm struggling. I didn't have a toilet facility. Now they have put up there some stool-like thing. A little bit of cart is there. I can manage my life. I have no complaints about it. But he was always concerned about others Jesuits who were there in Bagaicha, his own Adivasi friends, how are they, how well they are keeping. His concern was about other prisoners and others, not about himself. A man who always loved to see God as a smiling God in the face of the others. This was his life. And he wanted to see till the end. Though he was against evil systems, evil structures, power structures, but he was not against any individuals. Even within the Jesuit circle, in the meetings, he will raise his voice and ask very, very uncomfortable questions. Are we following Christ? Are we following Jesus? Please look at that. We are all making compromises in our lives. Let's not make compromises. Let us live a principled life, whatever be it. This is what we are called to live. He will question and challenge. So no Jesuit will dare to tell him in the response, nothing. They will all keep quiet. Because what he says is true. But many of us can't follow, so we make compromises. But though there will be heated arguments in the meeting hall, outside the hall, he will go and shake hands with everybody and love. Because he says, we have to love, but we have to follow as Christ, as Jesus confronted those evil systems. We also have to confront, this is our way of life. We can't win the world by hate, but we can win the world by love. This was his idea, that he loved everybody. though he may question and challenge, but loved everyone, loved his country, loved the constitution, loved the leaders. All that he demanded, you have given us this beautiful law, follow it, so that the Adivasis may have the dignified life. That was his cry. And that is what my master and Jesus lived for during his times against all these Jewish and all these communities who were upholding the lawmakers, the Pharisees and the Sadducees. He was challenging them so that the excluded, the discarded, the women, the children, the disabled, the blind and the deaf, they may all may have life. That is the life we are all called to live. That was his conviction. And till the end, he tried his best to live that. And that is what he's passing on as his legacy to all of us, asking us how closely are we following the historical Jesus who was left before us, asking us to live the life so that all of us may, our future generation may say that the Lord is glorified. Her image is lived by everybody. We are all children of one God, deeply moved by his passion and compassion, that we feel liberated, a full human being, a full divine person. That was his call. And I want to leave these thoughts with you so that we may also try to live this God very closely in our own families, among our own children, wherever we are interacting with, that we are created for others. It is in others' well-being we can closely follow Jesus. And for which, let us go through any amount of pain and sufferings. Nothing will bind us, but we can transcend all these things with the power of God, so that God may be glorified in the humanity. Thank you so much. I invite you to ask your own anything that you want to ask, anything you want to pray for, you are welcome.